In this country, a college professor is now under arrest for killing a Jewish demonstrator in California.
That's right, Dale. Loe Abdel Fattah al-Naji could be charged with involuntary manslaughter. 69-year-old Paul Kessler died after a confrontation with pro-Palestinian protesters in suburban Los Angeles. Officials say Kessler fell backwards and hit his head on the ground. It's still unclear what caused his fall. For more on this arrest and ongoing investigation, we have certified criminal law specialist Lou Shapiro joining us. Lou, thanks for being here. Authorities are still seeking information related to this altercation, but they have arrested a suspect with a booking charge of involuntary manslaughter, and bail was set at $1 million. Legally, what does involuntary manslaughter mean, and does anything here really stand out to you?
So involuntary manslaughter is defined as when somebody uses negligence, not that they intended to do something, but they used negligence, did not meet their duty of care that society expects them to meet. And as a result of that negligence, ends up killing somebody else. We commonly see it in the context of car accidents. Another car hits one car via speeding or going through a light, and it wasn't intentional to cause a death to the other car, but that negligent driving resulted in the death, hence a manslaughter charge comes into play. So applying that here, something happened between the professor and obviously the victim. And in light of that, till all the facts come out, the going theory right now is that the college professor used negligence. That's the accusation. He was negligent in how he handled the situation, caused the death of someone else, and is now charged with manslaughter.
Authorities described some sort of physical altercation, but the facts are still rolling in. Several people could have been involved. Given that there are no other arrests so far, what kind of evidence might have led to this suspect's arrest?
So eyewitness testimony would be one thing. What people saw and heard, that would have been reported. Another theory that's out there is that the professor was holding on to a blowhorn during the protest, and that he allegedly used that blowhorn and struck the victim with it. The victim went down, hit his head on the back, and then was out. Perhaps there was DNA of the victim found on the blowhorn, which could have connected the professor to this as well. So it's those types of accounts. Lastly, perhaps there was a confession made by the professor of having an interaction with the victim, which would have also led to his arrest if that's the case.
It's important to note that we won't know until we know exactly how all of this played out, what evidence there might be against this professor. This incident happened more than a week ago, and by the sounds of it, things are still murky. Authorities are still asking for information. What kind of complicating factors are investigators dealing with here?
Well, the hardest issues to deal with for an investigator is conflicting witness testimony. The fact that there were two competing rallies going on with very different views on the political situation in Israel, you're going to have probably different viewpoints as to who started this, as to who's at fault, who took more force than was necessary. Was it self-defense or was it mutual combat? And when you have all these emotionally charged opinions and viewpoints involved, it only exacerbates the situation. That's why the Ventura County DA's office did not rush to judgment on charging. They took several days in order to make this decision. So presumably they're going to be presenting the evidence in the form of a press conference or a media alert explaining how they arrived at the charges in this case.
Lou, with the last few moments we have left here, hate crime charges may still be on the table. What would go into that determination?
So hate crime is a high standard to prove. You have to prove that the person committed the crime because of a hatred for a specific group. In this case, it would be people in favor of Israel. So the argument on the other side could just be, well, this was a fight that got out of control. There were two competing protests. Doesn't mean that because of this death that there was an actual hatred for the other person. It could have just been a fight that got out of control. But, you know, these days, with emotions running as high as they are and viewpoints as charged as they are, it's very possible that a hate crime could be alleged on top of this.
Lou Shapiro, many thanks for your expertise. We always appreciate it.
Sure, Chris. Be well.